Hi, and welcome to John's Tarot. I'm still on vacation, so welcome to another version of From the Archives of John's Tarot. This one I recorded back in January, February, March 30th, 2023, and I call it Individuation, the Fool's Journey. I had a little experience with individuation, which involves the teachings of Carl Jung. Carl Jung seems to surround me all the time in the 12-step program, in the tarot, in experiences I have. Anyway, in this episode, I talk a little bit about my experience with individuation. I go ahead and explain what it is, and I think I talk about exactly what happened to me. At this period of time, I was still doing live readings on, I think it was Twitch. I haven't gone back to that. If you would like me to go back to doing live readings on Twitch, send me an email and let me know. I hope by this time you've seen one or two of my videos on where I'm at on my vacation. So I will see you upon my return. Be careful, be cool, be kind, and remember, have strength, find courage, find faith, and I'll talk to you when I return. All right, bye-bye.
Suspend your disbelief, your rational, analytic mind, just for a minute, just for the length of this podcast. What if all I am about to tell you is the truth? What if the information you will be provided is from a divine source? Just for this time, I am your Axis Mundi. Consider this podcast your channel, your second opinion. When I do a reading, something larger than myself is working through me. So ask what you wish. This is your channel, your doorway to the divine.
Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you from New Mexico. Welcome to you from Germany.
Achtung, ich rufe noch einmal Stalingrad.
Hier ist Stalingrad. Hier ist die Front an der Wolga.
And welcome to you from wherever else in the world you might be listening. My object here is to...
You're going to get your mind right. And I mean right.
That's right. Really, today's discussion is about me getting my mind right. And I do mean right. I had an interesting experience that's been going on with me over the last couple of months. And what the experience is called how could I say this? It's called the process of individuation. It's a Jungian concept. And it's been going on with me since February. Probably been going on with me longer than that, but it kind of bloomed in February. And what was kind of interesting about it is the process of Jung's process of individuation and the process of the Fool's Journey through the 21 cards of the major arcana are approximately very much the same thing. Now, if you were to do, I'll talk about what individuation is in just a moment, but if you were to do therapy, Jungian therapy, to achieve the same thing, it would be about, they say about three visits a week to your Jungian therapist at about $200 a pop, $130 a pop, which would come out to about $28,000. What I have gotten from my study of the tarot is about $28,000 of untaxable therapy. And I think this is available to anybody who chooses to take up the tarot. So let's talk a little bit about individuation. And what is individuation? Jung seems to be all over me. Every time I turn around, I got Carl Jung popping up in regards to tarot and what's going on with tarot and archetypes and synchronicities. But let's take a look. Let's take a look a little bit about individuation. What is individuation? All right. Individuation is a process of transformation whereby the personal and collective unconscious are brought into consciousness by means of dreams, active imaginations, or free associations. And I'm going to say by use of tarot, to be assimilated into the whole personality. It is a completely natural process necessary for the integration of the psyche, A psyche, that's a fancy word for subconscious. Individuation has a holistic healing effect on the person, both mentally and physically. So the psyche, what it means is that you're in closer contact with the psyche, with the subconscious, and that you are, how can I say it, the subconscious is communicating with you more effectively. Now, you may not know it, but you have an entire another personality inside of you, which is called a psyche. It is like an entire different personality. I read up on it, and I read some of Jung's books, and that's his theory. And a lot of times, we have dreams, and you say, oh, I must be under a lot of stress. I must, and it's an academic thing. And you have said, well, that's an odd dream. What does that mean? You have an entire another personality inside of you. And to become in closer contact with that other personality, which exists inside of you, and which is known as the psyche, is to achieve wholeness. What they talk about is wholeness. So you're a more integrated personality. Now, in terms of the Fool's Journey, which is essentially the same thing that you achieve with individuation. The Fool's Journey, we have it here. A Fool's Journey is a metaphor for the journey through life. Each major arcana card stands for a stage on that journey, an experience that a person must incorporate to realize his wholeness. These 22 descriptions are based on keywords for each of the major arcana. Okay. The Fool's Journey, Major Arcana 22 cards, depicts the path that the soul takes towards wholeness or individuation. The major arcana allow the psyche to express itself in the conscious world. And what they talk about on the Fool's Journey is you achieve a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness. Let's look at this. One easy guide that you can use on this journey is The Wisdom of the Tarot by Elizabeth H. And she discusses the entire process of individuation, or a higher level of consciousness as a result of traveling the path of wisdom, the path of the Fool's Journey, along the path of the 22 major arcana. Now I am going to explain a little bit what happened to me on this journey. I've been going through this journey since I started studying the tarot. But as I read about it in Elizabeth Hatch's book and some other sources, I thought, oh, it's an interesting academic exercise. But it was more than that. It is an actual experience that I had. Let me talk to you a little bit about what happened to me in my experience. I shouldn't be doing that. So around February, I started getting cards, tarot cards, that were saying things like, oh, congratulations. Oh, you've reached a new level of consciousness. Congratulations. Enjoy your new level of consciousness. And I was thinking, I didn't really feel any different. I didn't notice anything different, but I thought, many times my whole trip with the tarot is just a matter of, well, it's an interesting experiment. Let's see what happens. Let's see what works out. Now, as you go walk this path of individuation, it is sometimes characterized by a synchronistic event, activation of archetypes, and having a numinous experience. And this is all taken from Jung. So I'm getting this message from the tarot about, welcome to the new level of consciousness. And like I said, I don't feel much different. Then I get in February, I get an invitation from a friend of mine, came on quite kind of suddenly, to go to his, he's got a place in Topak, Arizona. He's got a boat, and help him with his boat. And the thing about individuation and a process of individuation is you need a little alone time. You need a little time away from your normal life. So I didn't think anything about it. A friend of mine, Bill, I said, yeah, Bill, let's go, man. And we went out to his place in Topak, Arizona. While in Topak, on my phone, I received this advertisement I receive every once in a while I think it's classmates.com, and are you going to come to the class reunion and that kind of stuff. And I had this friend, this female friend, when I was a young and foolish teenager. And this friend of mine, it really must have made a big impression on me, because I had been having dreams in my life about going to look for this friend in her neighborhood. So anyway, classmates.com notifies me. I kind of log on to the website, and I see that this old friend has been looking at my profile. So I contact her, just like one sentence. The sentence, it was something like, "I'm glad to see you're okay." And this friend replied to me in the same type of thing, in kind of like a 1 or 2 sentences. "Yes, I'm glad you were my friend." And something about, yes, we were good friends. "I'm glad you were my friend. I'm glad to, she's glad to know I'm all right." So obviously this person had been thinking about me as well. And, it was kind of an interesting in that it was kind of a numinous experience. This individual had created, well, let me go on and continue with the rest of the story. So that's that. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, I'm happily married. I don't want to endanger my marriage. I love my wife, and I don't want to get involved with this person again. And she's got her own life. She has had her own kids. We're all older now. And, this is something a teenage kid had been involved with. And had I got involved in a relationship with her at the time, quite frankly, I would have ruined it. I would have destroyed it with my behavior the way I was. Anyway, I have a dream. And in the dream, I see myself playing cards with 3 other people. Well, 2 other people. I'm one of the people. There's 3 of us were playing cards. And in the card game, there's some cheating going on by 2 of the players. And I said, well, that's not right. In the dream, I said, well, that's not right. That's cheating. I wake up and I start thinking about the dream. What does this mean? It means that my psyche, my subconscious, and because this all happened in an immediate period of time, in a tight period of time, that my subconscious felt cheated by the loss of that relationship. Even though I know intellectually and in a mature type of way that this thing didn't need to happen, I would have destroyed it. And this was an 18-year-old kid, a 17-year-old kid. This is not a mature adult that I am today. I'm not even the same person, and neither is she the same person. But my subconscious, my psyche, felt that it was cheated. I acknowledge that. You felt cheated, but this really impacted me quite heavily. So I had the synchronistic event, being sent out there to Topak to be by myself, and then the classmates.com and activation on the archetypes. That being the archetype was formed when I had that relationship at 17, 18 years old. And then being a numinous, I really felt that this was all happened as a plan. This didn't happen accidentally. I got this friend of mine, this just didn't call me just out of the blue. The timing of this wasn't accidental. The timing of this was definitely planned by my higher power. I was put in that place at that period of time to have that experience, and that was the numinosity of it. That was how it was numinous to me. And I have become in closer contact with my subconscious, with that psyche, that part of me. If you're viewing, we have within us the psyche, which is like a separate identity that exists inside of us. So as a result of my tarot reading, that is called an experience of individuation. In Jungian psychology, individuation. Now, I went and talked to a friend of mine who's a therapist. She worked as a social worker. I have some videos of her, Roseanne, just to make sure. It was quite kind of alarming to have that type of experience, that type of direct contact with my subconscious, and that awareness, that numinous experience, that I could clearly see that none of this was an accident. It all happened at a specific time, within a specific timing. And I went to talk to my friend Roseanne, and I said, am I experiencing individuation? Yes, definitely. Individuation is what you're experiencing. Wow. And then the cards continue to give me, to amplify the experience for the last couple of weeks. Yes, absolutely. We need to be more in touch with our subconscious. Over here, the connection gets lost. Absolutely. I totally agree. And that's what was brought to my attention. To talk about subconscious and dreams is one thing. To have that kind of direct communication with it in the process of individuation was really kind of startling for me. So that's what's been going on with me, the process of individuation. And it's kind of been interesting. How do I feel different? I feel calmer. I feel, in the tarot, when they talk about it, the process of the fool's journey, I was getting to that. The cards initially were telling me, congratulations, you've done it, congratulations on your new level of consciousness. Now the cards are telling me they're cycling to a different thing. They're talking about the fool is coming up again, the beginning of a journey again. The magician is coming up again. So I'm starting the journey again. So that's how the thing works. Individuation is not an event. It's an ongoing process. The fool's journey is not an event. It is an ongoing process. So I'm going to go on to the next cycle. I'm going to cycle through the cards again. I have another question here. The consciousness is our gut feeling, correct? The subconsciousness is our gut feeling, correct? Not exactly. It's a little deeper than that, although it can communicate. The subconscious can communicate with us in that way. What is it? The subconscious is a separate entity. It's a separate individual with its own ideas, its own concepts, its own feelings that live inside of you. That is the subconscious. That is the psyche as defined by Jung. And that is what talked to me. And as I looked into it a little bit more, my subconscious could have its own dreams, its own ambitions, totally unknown to me. The process of individuation, or the fool's journey, and on the fool's journey they talk about it being a higher level of living, a higher level of consciousness or enlightenment. I don't think I'm enlightened. I'm only aware now that my subconscious is like a separate individual that lives within inside of me and communicates with me much more clearly than it did in the past. I've had some things come up with me where it's communicated with me in dreams. It also communicates with me through the tarot. I think that's one of the reasons it came up, is because I've been learning a new deck. I've been using the Tarot of Dreams as well as the Rider-Waite. And it just gives my subconscious the idea that subconscious communicates with you through images and concepts. It's a pictorial communication. In the dreams, it's images and concept. So the subconscious is, you can say, our true energy. No, the subconscious is a part of you that is undiscovered and untapped. Many people who are considered to be geniuses, their moments of genius come to them through the subconscious. It's an untapped resource, I would say. Rather than our true energy, and the integration of the subconscious and the conscious is the goal of the process of individuation. When you become whole, you recognize you have this within you, and you're able to communicate with it and use this part of you effectively in your daily life. That is the process of individuation, and that is what happens to you at the end of the Fool's journey through the 22 cards of the major arcana. And it's communicated with me here recently. I'm worried about some things at work, education. It communicates to me that. So, okay, I know to get the communication done. I know to get the education done, excuse me. So I do it. Like I said, do I really feel like I'm enlightened? I feel more aware. I do feel more whole. I do feel more integrated. Enlightened like the Buddha? No. No, I just know that there's a process going on, that there's a part of me that had been untouched, unappreciated, and I'm more of an integrated human being. I'm more of an integrated man. Aha! I wish, you know what? I think that'll be our tarot question. Let me have somebody ask me in the game, how do we connect with this part of us? Now, I talked about reading tarot cards, and that's a good way to do it. And I also talked about a book by Elizabeth H., Wisdom of the Tarot, and that gives you a lot of clues. There's also videos on it on YouTube, on the Fool's Journey. So you can look at that. But let's ask the tarot. There we are. Now this is my numinous location. We're going to have a numinous experience. And numinosity is when you feel like you're more in touch with the universe. And this spot here is actually the site of the Delphic Oracle in Greece. I went there, visited there in October. And this is in front of the Temple of Apollo, where the Pythia gave her readings. And I'm going to do tarot readings from the site of the Pythia. So that's what we're going to do today. Let me get over here. So let me get in touch with the numinous part within myself, and we're going to ask, what exactly was the question for my how do we connect with this part? Now that's the goal of what I'm doing here anyway, is to do some free tarot readings. So that is a good question, and that's what I'm going to ask the tarot. Let me get in touch with that numinous part inside myself. All right, 3 cards. How can we, how do we connect with our psyche? What's the easiest way? How do we connect with our psyche, with this hidden part of our personalities? How do we connect with our psyche? Now, I mentioned one way is through Jungian therapy. Another way is through reading tarot cards and giving your subconscious the pictorial language, the language of imagery that it can communicate to you through. The tarot then acting as an amplification of what's going on with you subconsciously. Well, let's see what the tarot has to say. How do we communicate with this part of us? First card. The 4 of Wands, a very interesting card for you who asked this question. The second card. The Strength card. The third card. The Ace of Coins. All right. Fair enough. So, the game. The answer, this is just for you. You stand at the doorway. You've been traveling a long and arduous road. As we see the pillars standing before the doors, which are just about to open. And that is you in your life, where you currently are in regards to this question. On the other side of the doors, so you're in the world of consciousness. You're in your normal state of conscious ability. You're in your normal state of consciousness. You're going to pass through these doors, and on the other side of these doors, you're going to then achieve that level of enlightenment, that level of increased consciousness, that level of increased awareness. But you've been on a long journey to reach this goal. That's why the tarot is so interesting, and the Jungian psychology is so interesting. You're not here by accident with me today asking this question. This is cause and effect, and you're here because this is important to you. So that's what's been happening to you in the past. I wonder if I'm correct. Let me know if I'm correct. You've been traveling this journey and trying to achieve this level of higher level of consciousness for some time. Now we look at the strength card. We see a woman and the tiger, and that usually indicates there is the woman, that is our conscious self, and the tiger, that is our subconscious, that is the psyche, that is that unconscious self. And rather than using force, what you need to do is we make friends with it. Rather than trying to force something to happen, we make friends with it and allow it to happen. I kind of figure. She says, yes, this is my purpose of life, essentially along spreading love. That's excellent. And that is definitely you. That's the woman, that's the consciousness, and that's your subconsciousness. And what we need to do, what the tarot is suggesting that you do, is make peace with your subconscious. Don't try to use force. You make friends with it. Don't let it run the show. That's another card. But you make peace with it, and don't let it ruin your life. But let it become an effective part of your life. To be able to have that aggression, to be able to have that force, to be able to have that gift, you have to make friends with it. You have to get to know it and make friends with it. And then the third card is the Ace of Coins. That has to do with new beginnings, a new start. Are you possibly working on a new business or involved in education or involved with something like that? It's a new start, usually a new start of business. It's a new beginning, but it takes the ability to be focused and the ability to stay focused even when things get difficult. That's what I want, because coins usually a new business. She asks because a business. Well, you are involved with a new business, so that's you. So you're involved with a new business. Stay focused. It's going to take some focus. It's going to take some ability to see forward. It's going to be a heavy load. You see, he's holding that thing over his head. But stay in touch with your inner self. That's the deer below there. Stay in touch with your subconscious. It's going to give you guidance as you move through your new business, as you move through your new endeavor. And that is a free tarot reading. Hooray! I did a free tarot reading for somebody today. Excellent. How do you like my background? How does that look? I hope you enjoyed it. Let me do here. And I also do every week, I do a little 12-step thing. So that is for you, the game. I hope it's helpful to you. So I also do a little 12-step thing every week. I have some questions I've gotten from a 12-step meeting, from a guy at a 12-step meeting. And then I have the tarot answer the question. A bunch of questions. This meeting is a question and answer meeting, and people write questions, and then the group would take turns at answering it. I do this in memory of my friend Paul McAvoy. Okay, here's the question. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Oh, where is past tense? So, which equals past tense, where it's a past tense. And then I have the tarot take a shot at answering this question. We were the blue skies were precious. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. Reading tarot at the Temple of Apollo. So very near my 12-step people, past tense. We were powerless over alcohol. Our lives were unmanageable. I mean, it has to do with when you're drinking, you are giving your power over to alcohol. That you are giving up a level of choice when you are drinking. Once I stopped drinking, all my good choices tend to go right in the toilet. I'm 30, for anybody who's listening, I'm like 33 years sober. So we were powerless over alcohol. Our lives were unmanageable. My life is much more manageable when I don't take a drink, my life or use a drug. That is in the past. And that past starts the minute you say to yourself, it stops here. And you get some help. especially with everything that's going on with fentanyl and all those things in our society. The young people need to know, if you're involved with that, you've lost your power. You're no longer making a free choice. You are powerless over this thing. This thing is controlling your life. You need to get some help to get your power back. I've got some help. That's how I ended up getting 33 years sober, and I continue to do the things necessary in order for me to stay sober one day at a time. That is my description. That is my idea about we were powerless. Let's see what the tarot says. Past tense. I don't know if I need to do a tarot reading on that. Let's gather the cards. I think I answered that quite clearly. Now I could just ask the question, what does it mean? What does it mean for someone to be past tense? We're powerless. What does this individual mean? An answer for this guy about being past tense, powerless over alcohol. Quick 3 cards. Well, that's a good one. The 4 of coins, the 8 of coins, and the moon. So this person was asking the question about what's it mean to be powerless. So this person was sober at the time he made this. He was sober at the time he asked this question. Ergo, the 4 coins. You see that, but he's not sure as how long he's going to be able to stay sober, how long he's going to be able to maintain the sobriety. Ergo, the look of consternation on the gentleman's face who's holding the box of coins. He's concerned about that. He was on the process of, we're going to look at the 8 of coins. He's not a master of the process yet. He was still in the learning stage of the process. Although he had come quite a long way, he had not yet mastered it. As you see the guy there, he's working on a clock. He's looking at a clock, but he also has diagrams. He has a book available for him to look at. Funny, a sober person would have a book to look at, a textbook, in order to guide him through the process of building a new life. That's the guy working on the clock. And then the moon, it's a long journey. I'm not asking what happened to this guy, but at the time he asked the question, he was on a journey of uncertain destination, surrounded by powerful energies he did not understand. You see the 2 towers in the background of the moon. The power of mercy, severity, and mercy in the Kabbalah. Yeah, those are the towers of Solomon out of the Bible. As part of the journey, you pass through those. You pass through those 2 towers, and what's on the other side, you know, is better, but you don't know exactly what it is. That's what makes it a scary journey. So, for this week,
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it's my pleasure, and remember,
I am Oz, the great and powerful. Who are you?
that is a question for you to answer for yourself. I'll stick around for a few minutes and see if anybody would like another free reading. The game, if you would like, I would sure like if you could, what did they say, subscribe. And I'll be up here every week at 10 o'clock to do free tarot readings. Next week, I'm going to talk about time travel. I think we're going to talk about time travel next week. So I'll stick around and see if anybody else would like a free reading. Thank you for your question.